I just burped. Hey, everybody. Welcome to Just Admit I'm Right with Ken Plume and Rebecca Watson. I'm Rebecca Watson.
And I am Ken Plume, and I didn't burp.
Oh, you're a professional.
We're both professionals.
I'm so harried right now. I had
Tell us about it, Harry. Not Harry Potter? Is that what you... Is it?
Yeah, I'm really Harry Pottered right now. I'm a wizard, turns out.
Is that some kind of rhyming slang? You're pottered?
I'm pottered, which rhymes... Well, I guess you would rhyme with Harry, so I'm scary. That's what that means. I'm pottered.
You're Perry.
Perry.
She's married.
No. Thank God, no. Oh, not concerning my boyfriend. That sounded mean.
It did, really?
I was thinking about my ex-husband. I haven't eaten much today. And I'm like super last minute. Like, I'm not used to having things like line up one after the other. So, I had my Twitch stream, and then I had an interview I had to do with a journalist who's writing a story on something, and then that ran long. Literally, I hung up on him to do this. So,
like disconnected, like we're done.
Yeah, I'm going through a tunnel.
You would never do that for this live stream, and you know it.
No, but I did politely say, I'm so sorry. I have a live stream starting right now. I have to go. So, hello, William. William's in chat.
Hi. It's just now the William Memorial Chat.
Well, that's only if William dies. Then it'll be the William Memorial Chat.
Okay, it's just the William Chat then. Fine.
Yeah.
But William, when you're gone, William Memorial.
Yep, that'll be its name. Sure, he'll be very happy to know that.
A legacy. Come on, we're all looking for a legacy. That's something.
Yeah, it's something. I guess
you wish you could have a chat named after you.
No,
I wish I could
do
have
not.
a chat named.
I do not, because I have had chats named after me.
Oh,
and it never goes well. I've seen some Facebook groups named after me that would turn your hair gray.
I'm sure they're all gone now.
Hopefully, they've forgotten about me.
I'm sure they moved on to other evil person that are somehow vexing their small worlds.
Yeah, who is it this week? Probably like Rose McGowan or somebody like that.
Yeah.
I'm some mouthy woman. Or they're all Hillary Clinton hate groups now.
Yeah. Oh, they consolidated.
Yeah.
You remember?
That's what they do. Yeah, it's like a snowball picking up hate groups.
And dirt and hair and
feces,
snot.
Mostly.
Yeah. It's a shit ball.
Yeah. Yep. So how
were
are
making
you,
shit
Ken?
balls as a kid, right? They have shit ball fights.
Yeah. Yep. Good old shit balls. No, you know that yellow snowball. That's the killer, right there. If you can get together a yellow snowball, throw that at somebody.
I don't have a problem with lemon.
Ooh, I hate to tell you this, Ken. That is not lemon.
What do you mean it's not lemon? Yellow is lemon.
Let's just move past it. It's probably best that you never find out.
Oh, now I'm going to wonder about it the whole episode.
Oh, wow.
So we've been off for, what, a week and a half?
Yeah, we have. You were at... you were in New York, right?
No, we did one after New York.
Oh, okay.
Last Monday, I was in Raleigh seeing John Hodgman for his book tour appearance for his book Vacation Land. Mm-hmm. And then Tuesday was Halloween, and you disappeared.
Yep, I disappeared to New Orleans.
You went off on a crazy whirlwind trip.
I did.
Last minute.
Mm-hmm. That was a lot of fun, actually. Obviously I missed
now
doing
you are
the show.
90% beignet.
I kind of am. We went to Café du Monde 3 times in 4 days, and the only reason why we didn't go on the 4th day was because our flight was
They
leaving.
learned your name?
We're like, can we make it? But we did go home with the coffee. We debated getting the beignet mix, and then we read the instructions. We're like, we're just going to ruin this. So let's just leave.
You don't know that. You're ruining it. Might have made an incredibly wonderful variation.
Or it would have just insulted the memory of beignets past. You don't want to do that. I want to keep the memory of the perfect beignets.
You would have insulted Henri Beignet.
Is that who made the beignet? Henri Beignet?
Mm-hmm. Uh-huh. Okay. Look it up on Wikipedia. I'm sure it's there.
I'm sure. I did, I Instagrammed this, but I happened to, one of the days, we would usually like head back to our Airbnb around 4 p.m. or so to like chill out for an hour or so before we went back out, after like, every day was like brunch and then a little exploring, then chill out, go back out. So we're in the
second
Airbnb.
Brunch.
Yeah, second brunch, third brunch. We're brunch fans. We're in the Airbnb, and I'm like, I noticed that I didn't realize this before, but the French Quarter, I saw these signs that said Vieux Carré, and Vieux Carré is my favorite cocktail. So I looked it up, and I'm like, oh, that's the French name for the French Quarter. And so I'm like, oh, the Vieux Carré cocktail must have been invented here. So I looked it up, and it was invented like, Wikipedia was like, the Vieux Carré was invented in the
Des Moines
Carousel Bar in New Orleans. And I was like, oh my God, it's a bar that is a carousel. There's no way this still exists. It was invented like in the 30s or the 40s or something.
Wait, it was a literal carousel?
Yes. And it still exists. And it rotates. And it was...
Because that's what you want to do with drinkers.
Yeah. Yeah. It got... by the third drink, shit got crazy. We sat down next to this guy who was...
I didn't tell you, it's actually said stop moving an hour beforehand.
Well, this guy was like, he was a lot. He was very over the top. But he informed us that after your third drink, the bartenders hit a red button under the bar and it speeds up the bar spinning. I'm like, okay.
And they just start randomly screaming out, Zatarans!
Like, yeah, that's a good one. But I do have to admit that, like, I think, did we have 3 there? I might have only had 2 there, but at the end of it, I was like, okay, I'm done with the spinning now.
So I would assume one of the worst parts is having to step off the rotating carousel at the end of however many you've imbibed.
It doesn't spin too quickly. It does a rotation, I think, every 5 minutes.
That's me would seem worse, because then I would think you're getting into this weird sort of
like
where your body is feeling a subtle movement, and obviously things are moving, and your faculties are impaired, so you're trying to process.
And like I wouldn't have even.
Are people just falling off of stools?
The guy we met there nearly did. His friend ended up taking him away, particularly after I told him that we had reached peak him, and then when he was like, "Am I too much now?" and I'm like, "You're right at the cusp of too much. Like 3 more words, and it's going to be too much." And he's
We're cutting you off.
All right, good night. but like he was like hardcore hitting on me. Like he was telling Chris like how beautiful I was, and I'm just like, we're gonna have enough of that now. That's done. And he's like, no, but I can tell, he loves you a lot. I'm like, okay, yeah, but you just need to stop now.
And you're a beautiful man.
Right.
And she's very lucky.
He did not think Chris deserved me.
So Chris was very happy with the conversation.
Chris was very good about it all. But the best thing was that, there was only 1 seat at the bar when we got there. So Chris let me have it. But then that meant Chris had to like take a step every 10 seconds or so to kind of keep up with me.
Oh, so there was no beyond, the very narrow ledge that you all were sitting on.
Well, yeah, it's like it's flat with the floor that's not moving. And then, so you're not actually on like carousel horses. You're on stools that are attached to the bar, and the bar itself is rotating.
Now just to be sure, if I remember correctly, a carousel is horses that move up and down, and a merry-go-round is stationary, right?
No, a merry-go-round is
and can be anything besides horses.
Oh, I've never heard that distinction.
I thought that's why, like at Disneyland and Disney World, that's a carousel because it has horses.
Interesting. I have never heard that before, but
what the distinction is?
I am willing to. So Wikipedia just says also known as a carousel, and this is true of where I grow up. It's the spinning playground toy. That's what we would call a merry-go-round. More like we would never refer to a carousel as a merry-go-round because a merry-go-round was a playground equipment that you have to spin yourself. But apparently that's regional. So you'd think I should know this. I should be able to answer immediately because when I lived in Buffalo, I lived around the corner from the Carousel Museum, which if you're ever in Buffalo, I highly recommend. Viewed from above in the UK, merry-go-rounds usually turn clockwise, while in North America, they go counterclockwise. And the carousel bar went counterclockwise. Wikipedia doesn't seem to notice any difference between, they don't note any difference between merry-go-round and carousel. But maybe that's a regional thing.
Maybe it is. Now, well,
Hi. Sorry. Dog just came, put his head in my lap. Yeah. So, in this case, the stools did not move up and down, just for the record.
Oh, that would have been great. Is that going to be in the version that you open?
Yeah. I want people vomiting on the bartenders.
Or just on the front of the bar, depending on how low the bottommost part of the cycle goes.
The other interesting thing is that the bartenders were stationary in the middle, and in order to get into the bar and out of the bar, they had to literally climb over the bar. So they had to ask a patron to please stand up and move out of the way while the bartenders like dove over the bar to get it out.
So the bartenders do not tend towards the aged bartenders.
Incorrect. Our bartender when we got there was an elderly fellow who had clearly been slinging the drinks for many decades. And
you didn't see him try and climb over the bar.
I did. I saw him leave his shift, and he was like a gazelle getting out of there. It was pretty impressive. I mean, you stand
but you didn't
on
know
your feet
he looked elderly.
Long.
Actually, only 32.
Right. Yeah, New Orleans is tough on a guy.
It's all that spinning. He's actually moving.
No,
isn't that relativity?
You work on your feet that long. You know, you keep fit, I think. So yeah. So that was like maybe one of my favorite things about New Orleans. And like I had never even, I guess it's famous, you know, it was pretty hopping when we got there.
Man, enough for the drink to be named after it.
Well, I mean, the drink is named after
the quarter, but meaning it's famous enough that they have a named drink that
they have two
traveled
actually. Outside. There's the Vieux Carré, and there's another one I'd never had before, and I meant to try and forgot because the Vieux Carré was.
You got distracted by the movement.
Yeah. Let me see if I can. It was on the Wikipedia for the Carousel Bar. Although no, I'm not seeing that.
Called the Rebenack.
The what?
It's called the Rebenack.
No. I'm not seeing it now. They also made me a very good Sazerac, which I didn't think I liked, but apparently I've just never had a good one.
Is that like a cupcake? What exactly is that?
The Sazerac is another.
You're just making drink. Words up now.
No, but the Sazerac was also invented in New Orleans, not at the Carousel Bar. It's a cognac. It
was invented at the merry-go-round bar.
Oh, it has absinthe in it. I didn't even realize that. Yeah, and it was really good. There's a bar called Sazerac in New Orleans, and that's where the Sazerac was invented. The other drink invented at the Carousel Bar is the Goody, which I've never even heard of before. It's dark rum, light rum, something called orgeat, pineapple juice, and orange juice. That's right. I read the ingredients and I was like, that sounds like a lot. I'm not interested in that.
Well, it doesn't sound like it's going to sit in the stomach well.
Correct, especially while spinning.
But if you soaked it up with beignets.
We did go for beignets that night. So we were actually, we were walking.
Did you at any point have any proper food? That wasn't just beignets.
It depends on what qualifies as proper food. We ate a lot of food. We ate all the food. I discovered, what were they called? They're like charbroiled oysters. It's some kind of cooked oyster. Let me see if I can look that up. Hold on. It's like, or like flame broiled oysters or something.
Blackened oyster?
No. Let's see.
Are you sure they didn't just serve you charcoal and call them oysters?
They served us charcoal. And it was delicious.
Would you like another briquette?
It was the first meal we had, actually. And normally I prefer just, char-grilled oysters. So good. It was basically just loads of butter and garlic and cheese and a little oyster at the bottom.
Cooked over an open flame or what?
They were making them like on a grill with a bunch of fire. So I didn't examine the process, but it was very good. And we had crawfish. I had a lot of crab and crawfish omelet type things for brunch. Lots of seafood. So
yeah,
and it was all
none of this is appealing to me. None of it is anything I would try. Gumbo, I would assume you'd have to have gumbo while you were there.
I actually didn't have any gumbo while I was there. Gumbo usually has sausage in it. So I have had like seafood only gumbos before. Last time I was in New Orleans. It was all right. Not a huge soup fan in general. So
what do you have against soup?
It's too much liquid.
What about stew?
Closer. Like, I'm better with a stew, but a lot of stews are meat-based, so, I don't really eat them a lot.
Must be a good vegetable-based stew.
It's tough because, like, the whole point of a stew is to get meat so tender that it just, like, falls apart. And, like, with vegetables, that just happens in a soup.
But I guess you could make a fish stew. I guess that's, chowder?
Yeah. I don't know if chowder qualifies as a stew. I feel like it's more of a soup.
I mean, what's the definition of a stew? Is it the thickness of...
Yeah, I think it's the thickness.
The liquid within it?
Yeah. That's what I would guess. I'll look it up, though.
Is there a soup stew divide? Is there a stew council
I think it's like a hill versus mountain thing?
We're not soup. We're stew.
So, yeah, it's usually tougher meats suitable for slow cooking. Yeah, it's just less liquid than it's more of a gravy.
Or not less liquid. It could just be the liquid is thickened.
That's less liquid. That's literally what less liquid means.
No. That's not, how is that?
Yeah.
No.
Yeah, liquids get thicker as the water evaporates. That's how you thicken a stew.
No. Or they're absorbed. Because what I'll do, like when I make stew, I do...
We're really
I am.
nitpicking here. I'll quote directly from Wikipedia real quick.
Hold on,
generally, stews have less liquid than soups.
It is the name of the show. But what I would do, then I will say this. I will qualify it as what I do. It is not less liquid because I will fill the liquid up. To thicken it up, I will add flour to absorb the liquid into the flour to make a thicker consistency.
Yeah, but now that's less liquid because there's the same amount of liquid, but now there's more solids in there. You've added flour, which decreases the percentage of the meal that is liquid.
Fine, you're right.
Yes!
Or it was not a point worth arguing.
It counts. Got one.
But now I challenge you to make a stew.
Ugh. I mean, chili is like a stew, right? I do make a vegetarian chili. That's quite good around this time of year. I don't know.
Would chili consider itself a stew?
Well, Wikipedia makes a good point that soup is almost always served in a bowl, but stews might be thick enough to be served on a plate. So
I have never had stew on a plate.
Me neither.
That is ridiculous.
You could. It's
also,
thick enough to stay together. And you could do that with chili.
Beans or no beans?
Oh, well, as a vegetarian.
We'll go back to when you weren't a vegetarian as well.
I wasn't.
But now I would assume your protein in the chili is coming from beans.
Or like, actually, I'm a big fan of crumbles, which is like, they're like, it's almost exactly like ground beef. It behaves a lot like ground beef. So you just throw some crumbles in there, but it's like soy protein. So that's probably where most of the protein that I eat comes from, because I'm not like that big into beans. Not a huge bean fan. So like,
you would choose to have beans in a chili.
I throw some beans in. I do. Crumbles, beans, like several different types of beans. Like usually like kidney baked with the sauce and stuff. Pinto, and then I'll throw in like corn sometimes, some peppers, basically like anything in a can I throw in. Lots of tomato sauce, hot sauce, sometimes pumpkin. I like throwing pumpkin in there, or like some butternut squash.
Purina.
Why not? If it's in a can. Where do you get your protein? Well, there you go, cat food.
I'm not a beans person. I do like chili over rice.
Yeah, I'll put like a little rice, so it absorbs it all. I don't like too much.
I also like stew over rice. But
Yeah.
when I make stew, I don't make rice. Like
Yeah.
if I make it myself, I don't. But if there's an option, I will pour it over rice.
Mm-hmm. Also, I like a little cheddar cheese on top. It's a little bit.
Oh, I like that.
Yeah, it's good. I'm telling you, try it. Cheese makes everything better.
Well, I've told you my spaghetti, what I do for spaghetti, right?
No.
When I make sauce?
No.
So what I will do is I make the sauce in a crock pot. And this doesn't apply to you, but usually the meat, I'll use chorizo for the sausage. But about a half hour before serving, into the crock pot, I will add 2 bags of shredded mozzarella cheese.
Damn.
Into the sauce and let it melt into the sauce and then serve that over the spaghetti.
All right, I'm into it. I would try that.
It is really good.
I mean, it's cheese.
Also takes the edge off. I also will add, and this is because only what my mother did, some brown sugar.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. I always throw a little brown sugar in my chili, actually. I don't think I'd put it in tomato sauce, but yeah. I've never actually made like a real pasta sauce from scratch.
Oh, but I wouldn't either. It's just I picked the best ragu taste or whatever.
Oh, and then you just add more stuff to it?
Yeah. No, yeah. I'll do that. I'll add the brown sugar
funny.
and then I'll add the mozzarella at the end. What do you think? I got all the time in the world?
I don't know. It doesn't really take that long, especially if you have a slow cooker. Just turn it on.
For lasagna, I also will... so what do I do for lasagna? I also will use the ground sausage. But then when the sausage is cooked, I will not drain the pan. I will add in pureed tomatoes.
Yeah.
And let that absorb and thicken up. And then add that entire cooked mixture into the ricotta cheese.
Have I mentioned that I haven't really eaten today?
Hold on, I'm not done.
Okay, continue.
And then add the mozzarella into that and do the layers and then have a hard crust of mozzarella at the top.
Oh, yeah, that sounds amazing.
And I'll do the Alton Brown method only because that was the first time I heard of it. I'm sure it's common. Where you cook it most of the time in the oven with the loosely covered with the aluminum foil. And then the last 5 minutes you cook under the broiler just to crispen up the mozzarella.
I think that's the standard. I thought that was the standard way to do it, but yeah, it's definitely the way you should do it.
Oh,
Although people will argue that mozzarella is not the appropriate topping for a lasagna, that it should be a bechamel.
You know what? If they have all the time in the world, let them make a bechamel. You know what? I let the regatta and sauce mix cover that.
We got to stop talking about it. I had an almond croissant and a cup of coffee.
You're an adult. I can't feel terribly bad for you if we've made it till 6:30.
I told you I was busy.
Do you want to go grab a snack while we're talking?
No, I can survive another half an hour, maybe.
You sure? We can talk about more food.
Maybe. No. What did you do for your patrons over the last few weeks? What good stuff is up?
Well, just today I put up a patron exclusive.
Exclusive.
I put up an exclusive, which is the first Gonzo quiz show from this year's Dragon Con.
Oh, nice.
With guests Paul and Storm and Hal Lublin and Mark Gagliardi and Trace Beaulieu and Frank Conniff.
That's a great cast.
I think an hour and a half.
Nice. And having once participated in the Gonzo quiz show, I can give it my highest recommendation. It is always hilarious.
It would be nice if you could do it again.
I agree. Maybe next year.
I've done your show more often than you've done mine.
Because you haven't invited me. The only reason why I got on your show that one time was because like Doc Hammer, I think, dropped out at the last second, and I happened to be standing there, and I was like, "I'll do it," and you're like, "Ugh, fine."
Listen, we all make mistakes.
I won.
We all make mistakes.
I was a crowd favorite, I like to think.
You were. You would be on it every year if you were there.
Oh, next year.
But it's not like you were inviting me long distance to be on your show again.
All right. I'm doing a Quizotron in January for Sketchfest. Come on and be on it.
I'm going to be at a convention.
Oh, how convenient. A convention. By the way, Sketchfest, for those of you who are listening, Sketchfest runs for 3 weeks. And I did not say which date I was going to be doing Quizotron on. So Ken is clearly just making up this conference.
I don't have
busted
funds to get to San Francisco. I hear it's a long way.
I mean,
I don't know anyone in the area to stay with.
Hello. I have a couch.
I would feel bad. I would probably try hanging that map in the night. Just because it would bother me.
Good. We'll finally get that hung up. There's another one right next to it. You can't really see, but they're like.
You have two unhung maps?
No, it's not a map. The other one is a really cool NASA poster that needs to be hung up too. So. I
mean, you pretty much the map. You could just hang it about 3 inches from where it's sitting on the floor right now, and it would look fine as an accent under that little bar that it's under.
Yeah. That would take effort, though. And also, there's a very good chance that map will fall apart as soon as someone tries to hang it on a wall. Because I built that. And
Is it a puzzle?
No, for Christmas last year, that was my gift to Chris. I made us it's a map of the world that I mounted on, basically like on styrofoam, and then framed with a frame I built myself. So that we can take pins and put pins into every place that we visited together. Speaking of, we haven't updated it for New Orleans.
Is Disneyland on there?
No. Yes, Disneyland is on there. Sorry.
I don't need to talk to Chris like that.
Yeah, Chris was just on the floor chewing on this dog collar.
Is he not eeating either? Jeez, Rebecca, the two of you.
He has a bowl of food over there. Go eat your food, not your collar. So yeah, like I think it's a really thoughtful present. But it turns out I'm not a carpenter, and I don't know how to nail things together in a square. So like every time you pick it up, it's a little wobbly, and it's starting to come. Like I use glue to attach the frame to the styrofoam in the map, so it's starting to come undone.
What did you use? It's like white Elmer's?
Right.
School glue?
No, I used crazy glue. Thank you.
You use crazy glue on wood?
I glued my fingers closed. Yeah, crazy glue works on wood.
But not as well as using wood glue would be to...
No, it's better because wood glue is for gluing pieces of wood together. This was gluing the styrofoam to the wood. So you needed to use crazy glue. I researched this. And the actual wood pieces...
If you researched it, go pick it up and walk over with it.
I would rather not. Look, research and like practical results are two different things, okay?
Research is bunko.
I'm more of a thinky person, not a do person. I could have overseen someone making that and it would have been better, maybe. But I don't know.
Now, introducing DIY with Rebecca Thinky Watson.
Yeah, DIWHY.
You're not going over to go build something with Adam in his shop anytime soon?
You know, he hasn't invited me.
Have you shown him the map?
No. No, I have not. I think I did proudly describe it to him, and he was impressed. But I didn't show it to him. I was just over there this morning, actually. At
the shop? Oh, well, you're missing something tonight.
Yeah, I am, actually. Yeah, Adam is interviewing John Hodgman on stage tonight, and he asked me about it, and I was like, yeah, maybe, but you know what? I can get into the city once a day, tops.
Wow.
Also, Hodgman, I have this.
He's so hurt.
If Hodgman had invited me personally, I would have gone.
But to be fair to you, I blew this off last week to go see Hodgman. You very easily could have done the exact same thing.
That's true. No,
Hodgman otherwise feels very hurt.
Oh, I'm sure.
Oh, is that where Rebecca was supposed to be sitting? Figures.
No, I have had a very busy several weeks.
Yeah, so. There might have been food there.
I'm a sucker for free food. So yeah, on right now the Salesforce conference is happening in San Francisco, and if you don't know what Salesforce is, congratulations. No, neither does anyone else, including people who work there.
They fight crime with giant mechs.
I mean, that would be nice. Salesforce, here to save the world and sell you a PowerPoint. So a friend of mine went, and these are just like these big networking events, basically, where marketing people show up and, you know, jerk each other off. So it's
called making quota.
Right. So she's like, yeah, do you want to go see Beck Monday night? And I was like, yeah, I love Beck. And she's like, okay. I also have this party, this marketing event that I can go to beforehand with free wine. And I'm like, okay, I'll see you there. So
I'll bring my Tupperware.
Yeah, exactly. I get there, there's these giant tables of apps and like piles and piles of cheese. So I loaded up. So, and then like afterwards, I'm like, I don't feel like going to Beck. Like I've had too much wine and cheese. I'm gonna go home and lay on the couch. And also, like,
Wisconsin.
I might be getting sick, so I'm like super worn down.
Sure, it's not phlegminess from the cheese.
Maybe, might be. Well, Chris is sick, and so I figure like I'm probably like my body's trying to fight it off right now.
Yeah, fighting it off completely unfed.
Right. Well, yeah, that's an issue. And I'm trying.
What's the matter, body?
Easy. Hey, like instead of trying
Body's like, you got to meet me halfway here.
I know, but I did. Like instead of going out to Beck afterwards, I went home. So that's something. And then last night was cheap movie night. We saw Thor finally. Loved it. I assume you hated it. You hate everything that's good.
Saw Thor, eh? What'd you think of it?
So perfect. I didn't even realize that was the director until the credits. I thought it was.
Did you get the long joke?
The long joke?
The stupidly long joke of that payoff. So his character, spoilers for anyone who hasn't seen it, and go see it.
You should see it. It's hilarious and great.
So his character, is it Taika Waititi?
Yeah. I think that's
right. He plays a CG character, a rock character. I'm explaining this to people we already told. Yeah. This is spoilers, so they already know. Yeah. Anyway, his character Korg in the film is a rock monster. And so you remember his sidekick character, right?
Oh, Meek? Yeah. He's Scissors.
He's Scissors. What happens at the end of the film to Meek? Or what you think happens?
He thought he stepped on him, but he was okay.
So he thought he crushed Scissors. What was Korg's downfall on his home planet? What was the downfall of his insurrection? His attempt at revolution?
No.
Didn't print enough pamphlets. Oh, he was defeated by paper.
That is a good joke. I was going to say with the Scissors guy, I'm like they like openly made that joke about rock beats scissors. But the paper thing I missed. So that's pretty good. Yeah.
So the entire character was a rock, paper, scissors joke that spanned almost the entirety of the film.
Yeah. Pretty good.
That is New Zealand comedy.
I was trying to place his voice because at first I thought he was Murray from Flight of the Conchords.
Reese?
Reese, yeah. Darby. Reese Darby. Uh-huh. Yeah. And I'm like, that's not quite right. And then at the end credits, I was like, oh my God. And you'll enjoy this. So we've talked in the past about my face blindness. So at the end.
He was a CG rock character, by the way.
No. Not in that case. Not in that case. No, but I was like, so the credits come up. And I'm like, Carl Urban was in this? Chris is like, yeah. I was like, who was Carl Urban? He's like, he was the executioner guy. And I was like, no. Carl Urban, who was like Bones in Star Trek and Judge Dredd. And he's like, yeah. I was like,
yeah, he was also Bones in Judge Dredd.
Right. The famous Judge Dredd, Judge Bones.
Yeah. Judge Bones Dredd.
Blew my mind. And I was like, okay, while we're on the subject, I was like, when they were doing that play, everybody started laughing. And he was like, that was Matt Damon. And I was like, no. He's like, yeah, how do you not recognize Matt Damon? And I was like, and I feel like everybody started laughing when they saw the other guy too. He was like, that was another Hemsworth. That was like Liam Hemsworth or something. Yeah. I was like, okay. And I was like, now that we've gotten all that out, there's one other thing I have to admit. When
and the other one, I mean the other
one was Sam Neill, which
so you did recognize Sam Neill?
No, I didn't, but Chris turned to me and said, "Look, it's Sam Neill."
Where were you for the rest of them?
He's my favorite. So I was very excited about that because I love Sam Neill. And then I was like, so who's the original guy with the sword from the previous films?
Idris Elba? Hemdall?
Yeah, Hemdall. Is that his name?
Yes.
I was like, all right, so now that we've got all this other stuff out of the way, I can admit that when Idris Elba shows up in the film, my first thought was, that's so weird. I thought that character was played by Idris Elba. and then like, half an hour later, he's on the screen again, and I'm like, you know what? I think that is Idris Elba. He looks so different. I think it's the contacts.
So, did you not recognize Thor after he got his haircut too?
Who is that man? And who's that man who cut his hair?
Why is everyone treating that like Thor?
And who's this new Hulk guy? Where did the Hulk go? Wait, now where did that other guy go? No, I'll always know what Mark Ruffalo and Chris Hemsworth look like. There was a lot of good fan service in there. Like, he gets his haircut, and then the immediate next scene, he's shirtless with his haircut and a nice beard and then like super tight pants. And I'm just like, wow, thank you.
So did you also enjoy the Hulk butt then too?
Of course. Love that Hulk butt. I would rather have been Mark Ruffalo's though, because I have...
Well, it was. They captured the butt in motion capture.
Right? He had all those dots all over his butt.
That was why the butt was articulated.
Right.
In that, I mean, it was clearly no one else's butt.
I do. I have long loved Mark Ruffalo too. So yeah, this had, and I didn't care for Chris Hemsworth until, like, I didn't even want to see the original Thor. Wasn't interested. Didn't find him attractive at all. And then when I finally watched it, I was like, oh, I get it. I get why people are super into.
So what shallow aspect did you find attractive of
in the original Thor?
Yeah. What was the point that sold you on Chris Hemsworth as, oh yeah, fine, okay.
He I think it's just his general.
Remember, he is a human being.
Well, yeah, and this is going to be the least problematic answer to that. Like, it was his general way. He just has this very sexy way about him. Like, normally I think men with long hair in general, I like the whole, ditching gender roles thing, but, it just doesn't really do it for me in general. But, like, his whole way about him, he has a very, like, sexy sort of attitude. It was a similar thing with Ryan Gosling. I didn't understand how anyone found him attractive, and then I watched Drive, and I was like, holy shit, this man is attractive. So I think, and it might have something to do with the face blindness. It might have something to do with the fact that when I see, like, flat pictures of someone, I don't find them attractive. But when I see them, like, moving and behaving in a certain way, then I find them attractive. So I think it's that. But yeah, this Thor Ragnarok had, Chris Hemsworth, Mark Ruffalo, and Sam Neill, and Jeff Goldblum, all four of which are on my, like, to-do list.
I'm worried about the shoe dropping on Jeff Goldblum.
I know, me too. With all the stuff that's happening right now,
yeah.
like,
I mean, the thing that I've heard about Goldblum
he likes him
is that he's like an old school horn dog as far as well, it's just sort of like pickup mode.
Yeah.
But he's just like in that sort of awful pickup line, not like it's total creep, just sort of he like a lounge lizard.
Lounge is the exact word I was going to use. Partially because, like, he has a lounge act.
So, like, hey, you wanna listen to me play piano?
Yeah.
You think, yeah, like every awkward.
Yeah, I too, I'm dreading it, and, like, when it happens,
I've never heard that it was anything that was illegal or that he forced. Just that he's just lounge lizardy sort of.
Speaking of presumptuous, someone just dropped a bone in my lap.
For those not watching,
I did not consent to this.
Just please specify that it was in fact your dog that just dropped an unsolicited bone in your lap.
Gross. It was wet.
Oh.
But nothing better ever come out about Sam Neill. I need to know that Sam Neill is a pristine human being.
Now, have you seen Taika's other films?
Yes.
So you've seen What We Do in the Shadows?
Yes.
And The Wilder People?
Yes.
And Boy was his third.
Boy I have not seen yet, and it's on my list. I need to find it somewhere. I don't know if it's streaming anywhere. But yeah,
I'm sure it's quote unquote out there.
And, he did come out and confirm this week that Werewolves is happening, which is the follow up to What We Do in the Shadows. Very exciting.
As it should, but I hope his character returns. His vampire.
Yeah, but I'm happy for it to also focus on the wolves.
Just more Rhys Darby in the world.
Love him. He's adorable. Yeah.
Well, werewolves?
In fact, Chris hasn't seen that yet, What We Do in the Shadows, and I'm really looking forward to watching it again.
What?
I know.
Well, if it's a sick night in, that's like the perfect thing to watch.
It's a good point. We have just enough time. Oh, but we haven't worked our way through Stranger Things yet. And we still have
How close
Twin
are you to
Peaks.
finishing Stranger Things?
We're like,
oh, Twin Peaks can wait till after What We Do in the Shadows.
I think we're only
Twin Peaks should not be watched while you're feeling ill.
Well, we haven't even got to the new season. He's seen both of the previous seasons, and I haven't. So now we're like in the middle of season 2.
Then I think you can take an hour and a half to squeeze
What
We Do in the Shadows on a sick night to feel better with.
That's true. Stranger Things might have to come first, though. I gotta hurry up and get through it before I run into a spoiler. I think we're on episode like 4 or 5.
Oh, that's the one where. Well, what? So you have 4 more left?
Something like that. Yeah, we've been going through them pretty slowly because we've, been on vacation and stuff.
What We Do in the Shadows. That's a good thing to watch tonight.
Yeah.
You can squeeze that in.
We'll see. Well, it'll also probably be an early bedtime, so.
Well, then that's even more perfect, because if you watch Stranger Things, you're going to want to keep going beyond when you should go to bed, because you'll be hooked on watching more of them.
That's true.
If you watch an hour and a half film and be done with it, then there's more incentive to go, okay, that's a night.
I'll tell you what, we'll get it done before next week, so I can fill you in.
And you go to sleep with a smile on your face that you've seen instead of wonderful comedy.
Horrible nightmares. Yeah.
And it's a perfect film to eat during.
Really looking forward to that part.
What are you making tonight?
I don't know. I'm leaving it up to him because he's the sick one. But
he already fell asleep.
Our kitchen is pretty much empty because we were on vacation and we've come back and he's been working. I've been working and doing stuff every night, so I haven't had time to go to the grocery store.
Order pizza then?
Yeah, maybe. Yeah. Although we hate doing that.
We're doing the shadows.
We also we ate out every day last week, so with New Orleans.
Yeah, good. So keep that run going.
just keep it going.
So what have you done for your patrons over the past week and a half?
Well, I had to release 4 videos basically right in a row before I left for New Orleans. So the best of them, I think, is about Steven Pinker being wrong, because I love that, because he's got fanboys, and he's if people don't know, he's a pop psychologist who is popular amongst the TED Talk crowd. Yeah. He wrote a book about how humans have become less violent over time. His thesis is that violence has declined as humanity has become more rational and formed democracies. And
has it?
It hasn't, actually. Almost immediately, statisticians pointed out that he made a huge statistical error. So, he might not even be right about that. But then But
he delivered in a TED Talk. Doesn't that automatically make it correct?
That's true. I mean, that does
Can we do an entire episode about
bullshit
what an asshole convention TED Talks are?
Yeah.
And we have friends who have delivered TED Talks, but...
Oh, yeah. But I think most of them would agree with us.
It is just I think that is a gathering of assholes is called a TED Talk.
Yeah, or a Mensa meeting.
Yeah.
Same sort of deal.
Do Mensa meetings still happen? Is that still a thing?
It is. It'll continue to be a thing as long as people value...
just sit around comparing scores?
Feeling smarter than other people, yeah. So, yeah, in this case, though... So, I mean, Pinker's been proven wrong many times in many different ways. But in this case, there's really an interesting new study that proved him wrong in an interesting new way. So I reported on that. And what happened was some anthropologists examined wartime deaths in 19 countries from World War I, 22 from World War II, and then 24 non-states, which were less what you would think of as advanced. So hunter-gatherer cultures and things like that. And what they found was that while the percentage of a population who died in warfare did decrease over time, that was also inversely proportional to the total population. So basically what they found was that fewer people in general aren't dying because we're getting more rational, they're dying. Fewer people are dying because there's safety in numbers. Like, fewer people will die as a population increases, regardless of how rational and advanced a society becomes, because you have to send fewer people, a smaller percentage of your people off to war. So fewer of them, a smaller percentage of them will die. But a larger total number of people have been dying in war. It's purely the percentage, and that is purely tied to the population. And the really interesting thing is that to put the nail in the coffin on this, they also examined 11 chimpanzee communities, because chimps have the same sort of warlike behavior as humans. So they found that as chimp populations increased, a smaller percentage of chimps were dying in their wars. And that's absolutely not because chimps are becoming more rational and forming democracies. So I thought it was a really interesting study. Like, again, he's
just not the children of the chimp council members.
Right. Obviously those kids have bone spurs and can't go to war.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. So, you know, Pinker's been proven wrong time and again. So
has he accepted that?
No. And so he won't accept this, and his fanboys won't accept it either. But it's interesting. So
how many hate comments did this generate?
Oh, I didn't even look at them.
Was there a new Facebook group that was started over this?
Possibly. Why is Rebecca trying to kill Steven Pinker with her feminism? That's probably it. So, yeah. Oh, and I also did a video where I do mention to people that they should wash their hands. So I thought you would appreciate that.
What?
And I looked into it. So this is something we talked about in our last episode. How vitamin C doesn't actually necessarily prevent you from getting a cold. And you asked about B12. So I looked into it, and B12, I've always heard B12 is good to take in shots for energy. You know, I've heard of people doing that. So I looked at the research on it, and it turns out that it doesn't even work for energy, let alone for boosting your immune system. The only way it does anything is if you are severely deficient in B12. It'll bring you up to what the rest of the population is doing. And
so basically just like every vitamin.
Yeah, exactly.
If you're deficient, then they make a difference. And if you're not, then an additional boost of it. What is just this? Your system going to flush out any excess?
Yeah, you'll pee it out usually. With some vitamins, like I think vitamin A, it will build up in your system and eventually kill you if you take mega doses. With other vitamins, you pee them out, and generally it's harmless. But
so then, if you're looking to, as far as stay healthier, does it really boil down to one of the best things you can do is just stay properly hydrated?
Yeah, pretty much. Like it's just like it's like with weight loss. It's the same thing with weight loss. It's a boring answer. It's a simple answer. It's hard for people to do because it's boring, and it doesn't come in a pill or a shot. It's just basic maintenance.
Or from Goop.
Yeah. No, nothing you can buy from Gwyneth will make you healthier or, you know, thinner or whatever. It's maintenance. So for staying healthy this winter.
So her Vagimin medicine.
Right, Vagimin.
By the way, can we market that?
I love it.
Can we make millions of dollars from Vagimin?
Vagimin is the name of this episode now. Let me write it down. Vagimin.
How many times have I awkwardly named our episodes now?
Pretty much every time. I do mention though I want to mention it now. There is one shot you can take to be healthier, and that's a flu shot, which you should take, not for yourself, but for all of the immunocompromised people you come into contact with. Everyone should get a flu shot. Speaking of birds, not a bird flu shot. Herds. Right. There's no bird flu shot. It's hydration. You know, it's getting a lot of sleep. It's not being stressed. It's washing your hands, not touching your face. basic.
So the hand washing thing, back to that.
Yeah.
Again,
it is important.
There's got to be some system we can develop that would shame people.
Some sort of electrical shock system.
Yeah, or just a monitoring system that goes, hey, we know you just went into the bathroom and used, a toilet or a urinal, but that sink didn't turn on.
Well,
and you're exiting out the door.
Past research has shown that if you have like an honor system, like say you have a bunch of candy bars and you leave a jar, and it's like if you take a candy bar, leave $1. People are more likely to leave the $1 if you put a pair of eyeballs on the jar, like googly eyes or something, because they think, it reminds people that someone is watching, like on a baser level, so they're more likely to be moral.
So can we put googly eyes on every bathroom door?
I think that should do it.
Can we do that? Is there any? Can you contact a scientist somewhere, do this study to put googly eyes on a bathroom door and see if it affects hand washing?
Gonna make a note of this. Googly eyes.
So we're gonna get Bonnie Burton and Ann Wheaton involved.
Okay. Yeah.
In this study, they have a large supply of googly eyes.
Yeah. Okay. Let's do it.
And yeah,
that'll also maybe require a camera in a bathroom, which would be an issue. Or I guess you could just have a person standing there watching, but that would also negate the purpose of the googly eyes. So you would need a camera, really, a hidden camera.
Yeah, but if you were to have the camera that was just pointed directly down at the sink, you'd be able to, you wouldn't need to see faces.
You would still need like some ethical research sign off on that, but yeah.
I would just not tell, you could do the thing where you're telling people that you're filming in the restroom, but not say it's about a hand washing thing. So they're aware.
This is a whole other can of worms that we can't get into because
we're out of time. We have started it. We're almost at that. We have 3 minutes. I know you're hungry.
We will do it next week. I'm starving to death. So instead, we are going to tell people.
What are we going to tell people?
That if they would like to watch us live stream the show and even participate in comments,
or buy Rebecca a sandwich,
they can go to patreon.com/Ken Plume and patreon.com/Rebecca and become patrons. And we will let them in on this exciting venture.
What about social media, Rebecca?
Well, I'm so glad you asked, Ken. They can follow us on social media. On Twitter at Ken Plume or at Rebecca Watson. Or like you have a million other social media things. You want to plug any of those?
I'm at Insta Ken Plume on Instagram, and I think I'm at Ken Plume Twitch on Twitch, but I haven't done it in ages because nobody's playing with me.
Aww.
I also want to quickly plug a friend's book before we go. This one, The Butchering Art by Lindsay Fitzharris. Have you heard about this one?
No.
Have you seen this?
No.
This is, I'll read it. Joseph Lister's quest to transform the grisly world of Victorian medicine.
Ooh.
So it is a historical tome. It is highly recommended. I think you would get a kick out. I talk about the shocking discovery that cleanliness would prevent deaths in the medical field after surgeries.
Mm-hmm. Germ theory. Yeah.
So it is a wonderful book. I would highly recommend it.
All right. Thank you.
So we'll talk next week about things.
Hold on. People can also listen to an archive of these shows at justinmanarmright.com or on iTunes where they can review it. Yeah.
And should review it.
Yeah.
Please review it. It would be nice.
So next week we should be back on track, right? For Monday?
Yeah, let's do this.
Why not? All right. Thank you to those of you who joined us for the live stream and those of you who are listening on the podcast. And thank you, Ken, as always.
Thank you, Rebecca, as always. And bye, everybody.
Goodbye.